One more for our cool series on fun AI automations to help you become more efficient, your business become more efficient, right? Or your team, if you're working at a business. The automation that I want to show you today is this one that I've created inside make.com. So it triggers when there is a new email in our Gmail inbox. Right? We use a tool to analyze the sentiment of the email, and we send a Slack notification for negative emails, right? So it's the perfect automation to have for your customer support team, for example. Not saying that positive emails are not important, right? Or questions or things like that, but perhaps we want to have a dedicated Slack channel to negative emails, right? Things that we have to look at right now. The same logic can be applied to any other type of situation, right? Perhaps you don't want to do it like this. You want to do it in a way that if the email has a question, then we want to send a Slack notification. Or perhaps not even a Slack notification. We want to send an email to our team, or we want to send another type of notification. I don't know. The logic here is like this, right? A new email comes in, we analyze the sentiment, and then we notify the team. This is the logic. How exactly you want to build this and which apps you want to use to build this is totally up to you, okay? But I want to show you my example here that I've created, and then feel free to change this however you want. Cool. So I'm inside make.com. Make.com is a great AI automation platform that I've been exploring recently. If you're following me here on the channel, you know that I've been playing a lot with AI automations. So I've created this inside make.com. Before we learn how to set this up, let's just see the end result. I'm going to pause the video for privacy reasons. I'm gonna send an angry email to myself, and you'll see this Slack notification pop in here. Cool, so I'm back. I send an angry email to myself. How often do you do this in life? So I send, just for this example, right? I send an angry email to myself where I'm saying, hey, I lost access to my account. I'm writing because I lost access to my account. I'm very disappointed. This is the second time it happened. So obviously it's a negative tone email, right? The customer is clearly annoyed, unsatisfied. And so I send this email to this specific Gmail account that I'm using here in my automation, right? When I created my trigger here, I selected the exact inbox I wanted to watch, so to say. Cool. So that being done, let's go ahead and let's click to run this automation, and hopefully Make AI will pick up that this email has a negative tone to it, right? In the sense that the customer is unhappy, and we'll see a Slack notification pop up in the screen. So let's do this. And here you go. The email expresses disappointment about losing access to the account for the second time, request assistance, blah, blah. So this is a notification that I'm receiving, right? I automated this. In the notification, there's also information about who sent that email and things like that, okay? But essentially what I did is I created a Slack workspace where, where those notifications are being sent to. And in a real business scenario, what would happen is my customer support team would have access to this Slack channel here, right? And my customer support team would be able to act on this customer request, right? This is just a fictional example. I'm using a Slack channel that I have for my YouTube videos. It's right. I just did this for the sake of this example. I'm not actually using this automation for real because I don't really have a customer support team, and honestly, I'm the only one looking at my emails anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I've created this having teams in mind, right? Teams that are bigger than one person only. So I think this automation is really useful for teams, especially customer support teams. Cool. Let's go ahead and let's talk about how we build this automation. I'm looking at my make.com account. These are all my scenarios here. If you're not familiar with make.com, a scenario is essentially an automation that you build, right? The same way inside HubSpot, we create a workflow. Inside make.com, we create an automation, a scenario, right? And the logic of setting this up is very similar to any other marketing automation tools that you find out there. You're going to see a trigger, right? And you're going to have a list of actions that you can add to your automation, right? So I'm going to be publishing here in the channel a very beginner-friendly tutorial on make.com. So keep an eye on the channel for that. I will talk about step-by-step what Make is, how we use it, what are scenarios, what are triggers, what are actions, what kind of apps you can use, and so on and so on and so on. Now, we're gonna go through the step-by-step kind of going by the assumption that you already have some basic knowledge on automation. But if not, keep an eye here on the channel. There will be very soon, there will be a super fun beginner-friendly make.com tutorial. Either way, I'm actually using a paid make.com account. I created a paid account because I wanted to test it out. I think I'm paying around $10 a month or something like that at the moment. And a paid make.com account gives you access to specific types of actions that you don't have access to inside a free account. We'll talk about them shortly. But let's get started with the trigger first. The trigger in this case is actually my Gmail. So before we even go there, what did I do here? I went to scenarios, right? And I clicked on create scenario. These are all my fun experiments here, okay? Cool. So the trigger, what fires off the automation in this case is a Gmail action, right? So let me watch the emails. It triggers when a new email is received. Do you see what's saying here? So this is a trigger. This is what is going to fire off my automation, right? A new email is received in that inbox. Now, obviously, you have to, connect your Gmail inbox to make.com. Otherwise, this is not going to be possible. I already did this, and so I'm not in the position to do this again, but all you have to do is click to connect your Gmail inbox to make.com, like this. Okay, you're going to click on add. You're going to connect, log in, authorize, stuff like that, right? I didn't have any issues in the process. It's really, really straightforward. But yes, for privacy reasons, I prefer not to do this connection here in the video with you. If you have any issues, there is some online help articles that you can take a look at here as well, okay? But that's basically all you have to do is connect your account. Now, where are these emails that we're going to take a look at? Are they in a specific folder or not really, right? If so, you can select them here. I'm going to take a look at my inbox emails, so all the emails that I have in my inbox. And I'm not going to apply any filter here, but I could if I wanted to. I actually want to see all my emails, all the inbound emails that I received in this customer support Gmail inbox, right? Of course, you can go ahead for specific filters that you want here. For example, the email contains, here's an example, right? Search for messages in the social category, so in the promotions box or something like that. I don't want to do this. I simply want to have all my emails being watched by the automation. Do I want to mark this message as read when the message is in my automation? So for example, make.com is going to watch all my emails. As soon as it picks up a new one, do I want to mark this message as yes or no? This is an option that you have here, okay? But this is essentially my trigger. Maximum number of results in a cycle, in a running cycle of this automation. How many emails am I gonna be picking up? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? I can choose this as well. Save. Cool. Where to start? From now on, after a specific date, or what? What do I want to do here? Let me just do from now on for this example here. For the first action in my automation, I used a make specific action that we have, which is called analyze sentiment. Evaluates the tone of a text. Okay, this uses tokens. Okay, so I bought, as I mentioned to you, I have a paid make.com account, which I'm paying, I think $10 a month or something like that at the moment, and this gives me a number of tokens that I can use for my automations. This exact same action here would be possible with an OpenAI connection or any other type of connection, right? Other Gemini tools. But I'm gonna go ahead with make.com because I really like how easy it is to use it. But the exact same thing could be achieved with an OpenAI, prompt action where I say, OpenAI, take a look at, this email and let me know the sentiment. The sentiment can be positive, negative, or neutral, stuff like that, right? But just for a change, I'm gonna do a make AI action for now. Probably because so far here in the channel, most of the automations I've used OpenAI action, so it's nice to change once in a while. But okay, cool. Now, let's consider, make AI is obviously an AI tool. Now I have to choose a model, right? Which model do I want to go for? There are some clarifications on models that I'm adding for you in the description of the video, but just for this example here, a medium model should work perfectly. I could also go ahead with a small one, a large one. I would get different results, but essentially, I just want to analyze a small piece of information. I just want to find out the tone, right? So I don't want to use a large model or something that will consume more power there. Text to analyze, let me just analyze the actual content that is inside the email. So I'm going to type the field text content. Talita, what are you doing here? I'm mapping. This is field mapping. We do this in marketing automation as well. So I'm mapping the text content that I'm getting from step 1, right? That I'm getting from the trigger. A new email comes in, the automation will fetch all this different information about that email, one of them being text content, the email content, the actual copy of the email, right? Cool. Oops, sorry, I closed by mistake. Return a description of the sentiment. Do I want the tool to describe why it chose positive, negative, or neutral? Yes or no? This is also an option. Let me just go with yes. Okay, perfect. Third and the very last step that I have here is to send myself a Slack message. So let me just add the Slack app here and create a message as an action. Now, I did all these connections before this video, right? I already connected my Slack account with make.com actually a few weeks ago because I've been playing around with many different Slack related automations. Once again, you have to do this connection if this is the first time doing this, right? So you're going to connect your own Slack account with make.com. But before we go there, I want to apply a filter because I only want to send Slack messages for emails that are negative. So how do I do this? There is a tweak here. Right button of my mouse, I'm gonna click here. I'm going to set up a filter and I'm going to do, the condition is that the sentiment is negative. Where do you get this from? What is this? Well, from the previous step, right? So when I'm building automation inside make.com, in any other marketing automation tool, what's gonna happen is that whatever I find in terms of things I can use in this step here are all related to things I found about in this step here. Everything that I can do in this step here are related to things that I found about in this step here, right? So when I'm choosing my filter here, I'm selecting the field sentiment. Sentiment is whatever make.com is giving me here in this step here, right? Remember that it's going to analyze my email and it's going to give me a specific sentiment, positive, neutral, negative, right? So this is where I'm getting this from. This is a data point that I'm getting from here, okay? And I even know this because it's actually saying this is a make AI field, right? If I wanted to add a specific condition related to something that we found about in the email step, I would be using the red ones because they're related to the email step, if that makes sense, right? So sentiment is coming from here, from whatever the make AI action is finding about when it comes to my email. So this is how I set up a filter, right? It's worth having some familiarity with operators here. And if you've used any other marketing automation tool in the past, you're familiar with them, right? This is equal to, is not equal to, is empty, is not empty, and things like that. These are all the stuff that you can choose when selecting a filter for your automation, right? It exists, it doesn't exist, is equal to, is not equal to, it contains the word, it doesn't contain the word, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Okay, cool. So sentiment is negative. And then I want to create a Slack message to myself. So let me just make sure that my Slack channel is connected. Let me select a specific channel here from my list. Just for fun, let me just use this Slack channel that I use for tests here, which is I'm just gonna tell you the name, YouTube comments. YouTube comments is a Slack channel that I have just for testing automations. I have no idea why it's called YouTube comments. I must have named it because I was building some YouTube related automation in the past. But cool. What do we want to have in the Slack message? I want to have the content, right? I want to have the sentiment and I want to have the explanation of that sentiment as well, perhaps, right? So let me pull the actions that we found about in the make AI action. So sentiment, let's just do description. So it's going to give me a description of the sentiment. And just because I want to be able to act on it immediately, let me pull the data point sender from my, let me just type this here, from my Gmail action sender name. Sender name will be helpful. So let's not get confused here. I'm pulling two things from the make action, sentiment and description, and I'm pulling one thing from the sender, from the Gmail action, which is in this case the sender name. To make this easier to understand, every single step that we are adding is pulling certain types of information, right? The Gmail step is pulling information related to that specific email. Sender details, right? Text content, and so on and so on and so on. The make.com, the make AI action is pulling information from the analysis of that email, right? It's an action per se, right? And the third action that I'm adding here, the Slack action, is in my case an action where I'm going to get information from both here and here, right? And so every action that you add, you have different possibilities to work with depending on what came earlier in that automation, if that makes sense. And that's pretty much it. I don't think I have anything else to add, so let me just save this. One thing I recommend you to do is whenever you're creating automations, run one module at a time to make sure it's working properly, okay? So I can click with the right button, run this module only. It's going to test it out. Let me just run this module only here. Now, obviously, when I'm testing it out, it doesn't have an actual email. So I have to add some fictional content here just so that I can test it out, right? But by running one module at a time, you know that things are working. When you're done, the best thing to do is to test it out and click to run once. So once again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in privacy, I'm going to send myself another angry email and we're going to run this automation. I send myself a second angry email. I don't like your brand. Of course, this is all fiction. I just need content here to give you as an example. I got Gemini to draft an angry email. I don't like your brand. I'm concerned regarding your brand's social media presence and content strategy. I don't like it. I think it's bad. I think it's ridiculous. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. So another negative email here from some fictional customer called Tanita. It's kind of sad to do this exercise in a certain way. But, okay, this is done. Let's go ahead and let's run this automation together. I made sure to test it out first. And I'm going to click to run, right? This is how we test it out. And we're going to see whether make picks the negative tone of this email here and also sends me a Slack message, okay? And if everything works as planned, I will be happy for today and I'm gonna go and get a coffee. So, run once. The email expresses dissatisfaction and criticism towards the brand's social media presence. So in the notification, what we're seeing is the tone, the description, which is exactly what we requested, in this step here. And we're also seeing, let me just open my Slack to show you. We're also seeing, the sender, which is something that we also asked for. Cool, so here is my Slack channel. I have to hide some private stuff here, but this is the message, right? Negative, the email expresses dissatisfaction, criticism towards the brand's social media presence, quite ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. And then the sender name, right? Why? Because this is exactly what I asked for in this step here, okay? Sentiment, description, and sender name. Working. I can go get my coffee. This was it for today. If you have any questions on this specific automation, let me know. As I mentioned before, you can achieve the same result using other types of actions. Okay, so let me just show you one thing here. The same way I can make action for analyzing anything such as sentiment and stuff like that, right? This is the one that we used. I can also use an OpenAI action by creating a prompt and saying, hey, check out the sentiment. I can also go for Gemini, I can go for Perplexity, I can go for whatever I want, okay? This is an AI-powered automation to analyze customer email sentiment and notify yourself about it. Hope you liked it. Keep an eye on the channel for a really fun tutorial that is about to be published on make.com for beginners.